Your body almost never goes from fine to serious in one step. Most of the time, it whispers first. A small change, a feeling that seems too ordinary to matter, a habit your body suddenly cannot keep up with anymore. And that is exactly why so many people miss the early warning signs. They are not dramatic at the beginning. They are quiet, easy to explain away, easy to blame on stress, age, lack of sleep, or a busy week. But sometimes those quiet changes are the first signs that something deeper is going on. So for the next few minutes, pay close attention, because some of these signs are so common that people ignore them for months without realizing their body has been trying to get their attention the whole time. The first sign is unexplained weight loss. A lot of people would actually celebrate this at first, which is exactly why it can be so dangerous to miss. If the number on the scale is dropping and you are not trying to lose weight, that is not always a good thing. Sometimes it can happen with diabetes, thyroid problems, digestive issues, liver disease, or other serious conditions. The important part is not just the number itself. It is the fact that your body is changing without a clear reason. That is what makes it worth paying attention to. People often brush this off because the change can feel small at first, especially if life is busy or your eating habits have shifted a little. But when your body starts losing weight on its own, that is not a sign to ignore. It is a sign to look deeper. The second sign is unusual fatigue, not the kind that comes after a long day, not the kind that disappears after sleep. This is the kind of tiredness that feels heavier than normal, where your energy is not coming back the way it should. You might wake up tired. You might feel drained in the middle of the day for no clear reason. And because fatigue is so common, people often assume it must be stress, poor sleep, or being overworked. Sometimes that is true, but when fatigue is new, persistent, or happening together with other symptoms, it can be a clue that something in the body is off. Diabetes is one example, since high blood sugar can leave people feeling exhausted. Heart and lung problems can also make fatigue show up earlier than people expect. That is why this symptom matters so much. It is easy to dismiss, but your body may be saying that it is working harder than it should just to keep up. The third sign is shortness of breath. This one can feel subtle at first. Maybe stairs suddenly feel harder. Maybe walking the same distance leaves you more winded than usual. Maybe you notice you cannot catch your breath the way you used to. A lot of people immediately blame being out of shape, getting older, or just having a stressful day. But shortness of breath can also be linked to serious heart and lung conditions. And when it happens suddenly or feels severe, it should never be ignored. It is one of those symptoms where the body is clearly telling you that something is not right. Even if it turns out to be something manageable, it is still worth checking early. The danger is when people keep adjusting to the symptom instead of asking why it started in the first place. If your breathing has changed, that is not a detail to brush past. That is your body asking for attention. The fourth sign is changes in bowel habits. This can mean persistent diarrhea, constipation, black stools, bloody stools, or stomach pain that does not go away. A lot of people feel uncomfortable talking about this, so they delay getting help. They hope it will fix itself. They assume it is something they ate. They wait and watch, and sometimes the problem gets ignored for far too long. But bowel changes can be one of the body's clearest early signals that something is wrong. It could be something relatively common, like an infection or another digestive issue, but it can also point to more serious problems. The key is whether the change is unusual for you and whether it keeps going. A short upset stomach happens. A pattern that keeps repeating is different. Your digestive system often tells the truth before the rest of the body does. So when those changes do not settle down, that is not the moment to stay quiet. The fifth sign is confusion or a change in personality. This one can be hard to notice because it may not look like a physical symptom at all. It could show up as trouble focusing, forgetting things more often, acting unlike yourself, or seeming mentally foggy in a way that feels new. Sometimes people around you notice it before you do. They may say you seem off, distracted, or not like your usual self. And because the brain can be affected by many different health issues, This symptom should never be brushed aside too quickly. It could be linked to infection, dehydration, poor nutrition, medication, mental health changes, or other medical problems. The point is not to panic. The point is to pay attention when a change in thinking or behavior is sudden, persistent, or out of character. Your body does not always warn you with pain. Sometimes it warns you by changing how you think, focus, and function. A lot of people get caught off guard because the first few warning signs do not always feel serious enough to act on. They feel normal enough to ignore and common enough to explain away. But the body rarely sends just one clue and stops there. Usually it keeps building the case little by little. In the next part, the signs get even more specific. One of them is so easy to mistake for something harmless that many people do not realize what is happening until much later. The sixth sign is feeling full too quickly. This is one of those changes that can seem small at first. You sit down to eat, take a few bites, and suddenly you feel like you cannot continue. It might come with a sense of heaviness, bloating, or even mild nausea. Most people assume it is nothing serious, maybe a small appetite or stress. But when this starts happening often or becomes a pattern, it is worth paying attention to. Your body is supposed to handle food in a predictable way, and when that pattern changes without a clear reason, it can point to digestive issues. The key is not the single moment, but the repetition. When something keeps happening, your body is trying to tell you something in a quiet but consistent way. The seventh sign is sudden flashes of light or changes in your vision. This can be easy to dismiss, especially if it only happens for a moment. You might see a quick flash, a floating shape, or a slight blur, and then everything seems normal again. Many people assume it is just eye strain or fatigue, but sudden visual changes can sometimes be linked to more serious eye conditions, including problems with the retina that need immediate attention. Vision is something people take for granted until something changes. Because the change can feel temporary, it is easy to delay doing anything about it. Your eyes are part of your body's warning system, and when something shifts suddenly, even if it seems small, do not ignore it. Acting early can make a big difference when it comes to protecting your vision. The eighth sign is frequent urination and increased thirst. This combination is one of the more recognizable warning patterns, but it is still often overlooked early on. You might notice you are drinking more water, feeling thirsty more often, or waking up at night to use the bathroom. At first, it feels normal. You may think you are just staying hydrated. But when these changes come together and keep happening, they can be early signs of conditions like diabetes. They may also come with other subtle symptoms like fatigue, blurred vision, or unexplained weight changes. What makes this sign tricky is how normal it can feel at the beginning. It does not feel like something is wrong. It feels like a slight shift in routine. When your body starts asking for more water while also losing more fluid, that balance matters. When the pattern continues, it is worth taking seriously. Quick question: how many of these signs have you noticed in yourself recently? Even one or two may not mean something serious on their own, but when patterns start forming, awareness becomes important. The goal here is not to create fear, but to help you recognize when your body is trying to communicate something early while you still have time to act. The ninth sign is a persistent cough or ongoing breathlessness. A cough that does not go away, keeps returning, or gradually gets worse is not something to ignore. Many people assume it is a minor infection, weather changes, or something in the air. Sometimes it is, but when a cough lingers for weeks or comes with chest discomfort, fatigue, or recurring infections, it can be a sign of something more serious. Breathlessness that continues or worsens alongside it adds another layer that should not be dismissed. These symptoms are often ignored because they seem common. Everyone coughs sometimes and everyone gets out of breath occasionally, but when the pattern changes and does not return to normal, that is when it becomes important to pay attention. The body is rarely random. Repeated symptoms usually have a reason behind them. And now the final sign, and possibly the most important one to recognize early: chest discomfort. Unusual heartbeats or feeling lightheaded are signs people delay the most often, hoping it will pass on its own. Chest discomfort does not always feel like intense pain. It can feel like pressure, airtightness, fullness, or a strange sensation that is hard to describe. It may come and go. It may spread to the arms, back, neck, or jaw. It may come with shortness of breath, nausea, or cold sweat. Lightheadedness or a sudden sense of weakness can also appear. Because these symptoms can vary so much, people often second-guess themselves. They wait. They try to see if it improves. But this is one situation where waiting can be risky. When it comes to the heart, early action matters more than anything else. Even if it turns out to be something less serious, it is always better to be safe and get checked immediately when these symptoms appear. By now, you have probably noticed a pattern. None of these signs are loud at the beginning. None of them clearly announce that something serious is happening. That is what makes them so easy to ignore. But your body is always working to keep you in balance, and when something starts to go off track, it usually sends signals early. The problem is not that the signs are not there. The problem is that they are often too quiet, too familiar, or too easy to explain away. This is not about assuming the worst. Most of these symptoms can have simple explanations, but the real risk comes from ignoring changes that are new, persistent, or unusual for you. Awareness gives you an advantage. It gives you time to act early, ask questions, and get clarity before something becomes harder to manage. So the next time your body feels slightly off, do not rush to dismiss it. Pay attention to patterns. Notice what is changing. Notice what is staying the same. And if something does not feel right over time, trust that instinct enough to look into it properly. Your body does not start with emergencies. It starts with whispers. The earlier you listen, the better your chances of staying ahead of something bigger. Thanks for watching True Health Tales. If this helped you, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next truth.